Want to get ahead in digital-first content? The Drop is the go-to newsletter for industry professionals, delivering insider news, trends, and insights straight to your inbox. Navigate the fast-changing landscape of digital-first production, distribution, and monetization. Sign up now for free at dropmedia.co.uk and stay informed with The Drop.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby and welcome to another TellyCast. On this week's show, we're revisiting one of the panel sessions from the Digital Content Forum at the BFI South Bank. Microdrama, Fad or the Future featured a great lineup of experts who are all currently producing in this space. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Stewart from Deadline, but the cue cards to prove it. We've got everyone's names up there, but I'll just quickly whiz through so we know exactly what everyone does. To my immediate left, we've got Matt Campion, who's Creative Director at Spirit Studios. Next along the line, we have Victor, who's Executive Director, External Strategy at TheSoul Group. And then, last but not least, we have Katharina, who's well, I had you as writer, director, producer, but I think showrunner is perhaps kind of an all-encapsulating title for that. Yeah, well, no, let's not say that. I think as Justin says, and by the way, well done, Justin, for building this into kind of a must-attend event over the years. It's great to see it grow and just become kind of a diary date. Microdrama, vertical drama, there's a lot of buzz around. I think we're asking fad or the future. Should we just agree the future and wrap up there? Or one part of the future, certainly. But let's get into what each of you are doing, perhaps, and then we can talk about, I think in half an hour, we need to talk about how things are made, what people are watching, how much it costs, and also where it lives. But maybe let's think about what people are watching through the prism of what each of you are making. So, Matt, just because you're to my immediate left, you at Spirit, you do a ton of stuff. You work with brands, you make kind of traditional telly, you do podcasts, you do a load of social stuff. But now you're moving into vertical video, into microdrama. What? Tell us. We've got half an hour, so we have to be quick. So tell us what you're up to.
Glad you got the text.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the vertical space, we've partnered with Night Train, partnership that came out of this event last year, actually. We previously made an audio drama with some fairly big UK names that did pretty well for us, and that was sort of began our journey of looking into what does scripted look like in the digital space. We'd previously made a scripted sitcom in the digital space with Channel 4. And so the vertical drama, microdrama conversation started bubbling up very, very quickly in the press. And so I reckon about 8 months ago, we started doing some proper looking into it, getting right into the weeds, meeting the right people, gaining the knowledge. And yeah, I think one of the things that we're doing straight away is producing our first film and not really thinking a bit like listening to Victor. It's sort of the way we work in anything that we do in digital is to try and be in that sort of MVP model, that minimal viable product, where you need to get things up and running pretty quickly and get the results and learn and iterate. Having said that, we've had loads of meetings with some of the big apps. We've got a team that has begun writing our first drama. We're going to shoot pretty quickly in the next 2-3 months. The schedule is 8 weeks from beginning to end, really quick.
And what is it? Tell us, because it's interesting. We saw the clip earlier, I think, of that Brazilian show, and I think what was actually interesting, we're being honest, at the end when that clip stopped, there was kind of people in there. The reaction was interesting. There's kind of a laughter because it was kind of schlocky. It was kind of No, but and is that kind of do you lean into that? Do you embrace that, or do you want to take a different approach in terms of production values and storytelling?
I think it'd be stupid not to go with what works,
right,
to begin with. I think all of us want to sort of try and anyone that's a creative or in this space, we always want to evolve and take things on a journey and see if we can do other things. But we're definitely sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of. Well, the thing we know that works is we're working with American apps, so they want sort of very our sort of a whole thing is a sort of period drama time machine, modern to period. They want that very Britishness and old school kind of public schools and old sort of Pride and Prejudice has been as a vertical drama has been converted. So we're definitely in that space. One of the things that we're doing is we have got a couple of really good people on the team that I'm really excited about. We've got Dan Lowenstein, who's
kind of a name in this.
He's he's directed 25 microdramas now. So he's part of the writing team.
3 weeks work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's only 4. So he's sort of quite central to the writing and how we're going to produce it. And we've also got a guy called Jack Chalmers, who I don't know if anyone has seen any of the press that's gone out recently about our Ed Gein Original Psycho docudrama. He was the voiceover for Ed Gein and the Interrogator, and he's a 22-year-old kid from Birmingham who's got 4 million followers on TikTok, who is so unique in what he does that he reproduces sort of movie scenes from his bedroom, but he goes to the reason why I said to him, I mean, he actually messaged me last night saying that he couldn't thank me enough for being a part of this. It was such a brilliant experience. But I said to him, it was the moment he said to me that he would go to lengths of recording the hum of his fridge to layer into a movie soundtrack on his iPhone on TikTok. And I was like, I need you on my team. I want that experience and that level of detail of knowing what works in that space.
Okay, great. Hold that thought and we'll come back. Victor, so tell us what you're doing with the Soul Group, because I think it's interesting to think about what's working elsewhere in the world and how that informs what we're doing.
Definitely.
Over here.
So, the Soul Group started as Soul Publishing. So we're a digital studio at heart. So we started, on social media, producing content for different channels. We grew to become one of the biggest digital studio in the world. And over time, we expanded also to more services. And we're always looking for growth opportunities, and the microdrama vertical video space, I think we might define what it is exactly. It's something we looked at maybe 2 years ago. We started to see the premise of it. Also thanks to all the kind of data and insights we're able to access. And we really started to get serious about it beginning of this year. And we launched our own app about 2 months ago. So
that's interesting in terms of the distribution piece. But what are you actually making? And again, in terms of kind of what people are consuming and what's getting made, it does seem people kind of lean into romance. When we were talking earlier, you were talking about kind of almost this sort of CEO genre, where there's kind of a powerful business leader and an intern. There seems to be some tropes.
I would say romance is. I mean, we produce content for the app, so we have the experience in that. We also work with partners as well, so we don't produce everything ourselves. We do co-production as well for the app. So we have about 30 shows on our app now. So we're looking to expand that over time. Romance is still kind of, that's what created the category, I would say. It has a lot of the codes. I mean, you mentioned the trailer. I thought it was interesting. Obviously people are a little bit puzzled, especially people that have been in traditional media industry for a while. But I think it's a new genre that, you need to embrace and be curious about, a little bit like when creators started to emergence, this is not, quality. And now, there's the Netflix shows and everything. So,
and do you, Matt was saying 8 weeks to make a show. Are you seeing a similar timeline?
I think I know that across different apps there are different approaches. We have a writer room in a way that is kind of constant. So, in a way it's hard to factor because some script can take 1 to 2 months to develop, but it's on a constant basis as well. Then shooting is actually quite fast. You usually limit your team. You have a small group of people, and you do it over maybe a week, depending on the level of production. And then post-production is very important as well, because you saw in the trailer the editing, the creative, the hooks that you need to put in. It's very different than a normal linear movie where you can have a 30-minute build-up. Here you need every 45, 60 seconds to have some hooks, strong emotion, some kind of moments of truth.
That's interesting because kind of traditional drama, I guess there's kind of there's 3 acts ordinarily, but are you having to build that into every single episode? Is every kind of couple of minutes having to follow that traditional?
Yes, I think everyone describe it like it's like that. So you get a pick because you want people to watch this 45 seconds. People that are watching these kind of shows, they're very busy. They're usually young. It can be between the break We actually look at the persona of them, and some people, they do it between shifts. They do it during transport. It's not convenient to watch, except if your commute is very long, like an hour series. But if you have like 20 minutes, then, this is much more suitable.
And always ending on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. So that, as they come back to the specific show, to the app. We're looking a lot, like when we work with creative and, at our own content, at the retention between the episodes. So we make sure that people are actually going deep into the series and not dropping after one episode.
And that also speaks to how you monetize it. But we'll
yeah.
that in a sec. And Katharina, tell us, because I think you're, in terms of kind of the world of vertical drama, you're doing something that's perhaps slightly different. But tell us about what you're working on, because I know you were at Cannes and other places.
Yeah, so my company's Metratone Media, and we were traditional producers, really, traditional IP content house, very small. And but we'd done a lot of documentary, and I've been out producing one of the European versions of Strictly for a few years. And so coming, to Victor's point, I think unscripted producers are really good in this environment because we know how to turn really fast. We know how to produce things fast. So this has kind of been a natural fit for us that we started looking into at the beginning of the year. And we also pivoted to being AI native 2 years ago, which has really helped. So the two productions that we're working on now is a K-pop crime thriller called Rainmaker. And we actually started producing that with AI, human-written, normal script, short episodes. So we initially thought straight away short-form episodes to test it with an audience.
And it's animated.
Yeah, so animated content. We started by making music videos, and then this sort of microdrama pilot that we ended up getting invited by the BFI to show at Cannes. So that's tested really well with the audience, and now we have some big partners on board. We're going to go for 22 episodes in spring. But I'll talk in a minute about platform, because that's really interesting about microdrama. The other one we're working on is a non-AI, completely traditionally shot creator-led production with 3 very big comedy names, which unfortunately I can't tell you yet. But that's a mockumentary based on a true story. I don't know if anyone in this room remembers back in around 2013 to 15, 16 in London, there was a SCIS HMRC scheme that made everybody go and make gangster films for 150K. I was cast in a lot of those. I was the token blonde, and we based off of that story with some very unprofessional production, with some very uninsured, very crazy things that happened, and making a comedy with viral comedians, basically.
This episode of TellyCast is brought to you with Shaftesbury, the hit-making producer behind international series like Murdoch Mysteries, Hudson and Rex, Departure, and Hell Motel. Shaftesbury builds worldwide fandoms across digital, live events, Roblox and more, creating entertainment brands that live far beyond the screen. Check out Shaftesbury's Jay Bennett on TellyCast, speaking from MIPCOM 2025, sharing how smart marketing, multi-platform rollouts, and innovative IP strategies keep global audiences coming back for more. Shaftesbury, built on legacy, driven by what's next.
And actually, let's talk about how you perhaps can make money from these projects, which is about distribution. So, Katharina, staying with you maybe for this, because do you speak to Real Short or Drama Box or those existing apps, or do you think that about YouTube? What's the plan in terms of where do you see this existing? Where do you see your stuff living, and how do you make money from that?
Well, it's a really interesting question, and we're actually looking for the right partners for Rainmaker for that reason, because everything we've seen today, it's really fascinating. But for traditional producers that are crossing over specifically, it's a really vital thought, because everything doesn't naturally live on every platform. Everything has its own algorithm. A TikTok thing will not necessarily work on YouTube, and vice versa. That pilot, the Cogsworth, that really was so well made for TikTok. It's like that's exactly what works there. And it's not necessarily the case that I can't take my animated K-pop crime thriller and just put that on Real Shorts, because Real Short is optimized for a lot of romance and a lot of CEO drama, as we were saying. So you have to really think about where you can monetize and, which platform is going to take it. And I think we're going to see a lot more platforms pop up as a result, because as people move on from maybe the more lower end soapy vertical dramas, it's going to be more quality dramas as well. But you need a new platform for that, or you need to optimize for it.
So Victor, then you're in the TheSoul group. You have your own app, but I assume that your stuff doesn't live exclusively on that. How do you? What's the business model?
Yeah, so for us, there are two main angles to launch the app. Obviously, it's an investment, but first, it's a working model because those apps are monetized. So usually it's via subscription, or it can be you buy like an episode. So that kind of goes back into the point where you need to get people in the episode quickly, because you want them to purchase additional episodes.
There's almost a gamification that the game developers are
exactly. So
in-app.
Funny enough, we built the app in partnership with a gaming company, and I mean everyone maybe has played Supercell or Candy Crush, and you know how good they are at making you spend extra money. Usually the currency in the app as well is a weird exchange rate, so you don't really know how much you're spending on that next level. So it's exactly the same thing here, and I think it's sometimes a forgotten piece in the microdrama space is that there's that gamification element where you can actually do certain actions as well to watch more things, which doesn't really exist on the more traditional platform like Netflix and so on. So I think that helps monetize, give an additional way to monetize, and that's how we do it. But then the other part is also for us. We think it's very interesting space, production-wise. As I say, it's like different way to tell story. It's even more closer to digital production than maybe traditional production in a way, because you need to have like low budget, you need to stay lean, use AI. And so, it means that for us, we can actually like learn directly and also with our own platform and data and be really good at that format. So that's the two things. And, some of our production, we feature them exclusively. We have a window on our platform, but then we would partner with other platforms.
And you've got your own platform. So obviously you're literally plugged into the data and you're working out ways to monetize it. Is this something that you see kind of being profitable in 6, 12, 18 months? Is this one for the future, or is this something in terms of the margin that actually you're already seeing?
Yeah, so definitely it's something that we see as a profitable model. It can be a profitable model. We're still in pilot phase. So right now, like our most important task is to figure out between the content, the creative part and the users, like what kind of content works and kind of optimize for that. It's also very still ad-driven space. So a lot of the users come from advertising. And you need to acquire them in a way this way. Of course, there's also a general social media platform to acquire in other ways, but that's still an important way. So, fine-tuning your strategy to acquire users in a profitable way is something that we're doing now, and we're making very good progress.
And Matt, given that you don't have as yet your own app, and you're working with Night Train, who are, I know it's the digital bit of that, but they are what I would consider a traditional TV distribution business. They're used to kind of licensing things in the way that we see it. A MIPCOM, for example. How do you, and I guess you're kind of, you said it, you explained at the beginning, you're kind of building something to get it to market and then perhaps learning along the way. But what's your expectation in terms of how you get it out there and how you make money from it?
We're actually working in tandem. We're talking to being a producer with the apps and them acquiring our content. So we're working in a sort of traditional commissioning sense. And actually, funny enough, with Night Train, we're working with all three of their businesses: Night Train Media, Digital, and Echo Rights. So I'd say that we're solely focused at the beginning on nailing the first micro drama and getting it onto the right app. And talking about the monetization and the levels of success, there's some of the stats that have been touted at us is like a good success, or an average success, is about 15 million views, where something like there's the Mafia Boss, which is one of Dan's, he said it's still trending 18 months later, it's done 150 million. And the average spend from a user is 50 pence an ep. So when you look at that, they're spending 10 to 15 quid. You can go into subscription mode as well. That's a huge.
The freemium models are really powerful. If you monetize at the point of 5 episodes, if you go, if you have the platform, there's a number of ways to monetize that. And the microdrama platforms have made a lot of money.
Is there, so stupid question alert, is there a way, when you make this, is there a way that you get it on real short? Is it because they don't have someone in Europe?
Well, we are in talks with a few different apps, and advanced talks as well. I think we'll end up on one of the apps.
And that'll be a rev share on.
Yeah. So that'll be a rev share with them. And also as well, I think with Night Train as well, we are also in tandem exploring how how we distribute it in other ways as well.
And it feels, and each I spoke to you individually ahead of time, and it feels like there's kind of an entrepreneurial take in terms of the ancillary opportunities. I know, for example, with Rainmaker, you're talking about kind of an album, and actually almost doing it the other way around, where you have like what would be considered the
we were
L&M
sort of
ancillary
reversing
first.
the flow. So we started with music video, chapter of a graphic novel, and then moved on to the pilot. And that's what's worked really well, because you create a bit of an audience, you create a bit of buzz beforehand, and then you can then release the full versions of everything as you go along. There's also new things in the space of, when you're talking about AI and verticals, there's new streamers who are putting AI content directly on TV. So there's, people who specialize in short form. The collaboration models there aren't quite worked out yet, I think.
Who are you talking about? Which platform?
So there's one platform called Alchemy Stream, for example, out of Chicago. And their thing is they collaborate with AI creators, and they put the short form content directly on an app on people's screen. So they kind of work like a traditional distributor in that sense. It would either be a rev share or a exclusive deal. There's also brand collaborations, obviously. We're heavily looking into that, because with AI we can replicate almost any brand now that it's so advanced. We can, beautifully represent any brand if it merges solidly with the story. And if it's a natural fit.
I think what's interesting is when you're talking about AI, I mean, this isn't a session about AI, but naturally every session is about AI now, as it probably should be. But I think each of you also separately mentioned how you're using different AI tools in this space. I mean, is that about kind of making sure the workflow is super tight because you're producing on a, different to certainly a traditional TV or film budget? Is it about that, or is it about idea generation? Is it where do the AI tools come in and help? And that's
so we tested to do AI ads, because sometimes we work on the trailer before we work on the final product, and then we will test it with the users to see if they're actually interested. And we test it, in order to shorten that production, to do it with AI ads. But I would say that it's not yet on the same level in terms of interest of users and comparison. So like pure AI content might have its place, but I think for now it's more of a Sora experience where you have a dedicated app. You go there to maybe brain rot a little bit, and you know what to expect, right? I don't think it's about I'm watching a show and then 10 minutes in I'm realizing, oh wait, this is AI. So for now that's the case. Maybe it will evolve. And then there's a whole workflow production part element, which of course, because budget here are very different. They're not social media budget, but they're not Hollywood budget. So how much does a micro drama? How much I would say, we didn't mention it yet, that 1 minute of Quibi show would be like a whole series in micro drama. So you can research it. But I mean, approximately. So
save me doing the math. What might that?
I think like 100K to 300K, obviously depend on the complexity. For like a series, that would be the budget. And
I would say the same. And it's so, again, to Victor's point earlier, you do things a lot faster, and it is partly useful for visualization. I'm a big fan of hybrid production. I don't have a lot of faith in people wanting to watch all AI content. Ours is certainly voiced by actors. It's written by humans. You want a good story. You want to watch quality stuff. You don't want to watch a bunch of uncanny things on your screen. So it's really about speeding up production. A small content house like ours could never produce anything animated just 2 years ago. Just no question. It cost $250 million to make. So, yes, huge cost saving, huge time saving, but still retaining creators at the center and the human element.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, how about AI, using AI in terms of idea generation or scripting? I mean, versus kind of the old school writer's room, I guess.
Yeah, not for ideas, but I mean, our writers' room definitely beat out the shows. But AI we use it for efficiency and to speed up the process. Really, I think we will use generative video as well in the process. I mean, we're starting to do that in a lot of things that we're doing now, and we're not replacing people or doing anything. I mean, we get asked this question a lot about AI. I mean, you've talked about it recently, about the ethics and so on. And I think we're at a stage where if you are punching above your weight budget, on a small budget, then, and it enhances what you do, then great. But also just have taste in how you use it. It's a case of there's really shit AI out there, and we all see it. And if you can use it in a clever way that it's additive and it doesn't take away from anyone, then all that's changing is the craft, not the tools.
Well, you asked about scripting. I would go out hard on that and say absolutely don't put your scripts in or a script with AI, because if you're a content house or a content creator, you are handing over your IP to train an AI. We've actually built a tool to get around that. That's non-AI related. For that
there are
specific
sort of
purpose.
ethical AI
And I think scripts are the most
used to avoid that.
Not that I know of for scripting. There are video generators now, like Moon Valley, who try to be ethical in their training data, but I haven't yet seen any scripting tools that protect writers' IP.
And we have a question coming in, and given the again, by comparison to sort of traditional film and TV, the incredibly tight production schedules. When you're actually shooting, when you're actually going in, so you've done all the sort of pre-production, you're actually, what does the team actually look like for when you're shooting live action? What does a pared down team look like for a micro drama?
So it can be like 3 to 5 people sometimes, so like that kind of level, the actors and main operators and some lighting maybe, and like a main producer. So it's like very small team. But I think it's actually like something good also, like in terms of a lot of new people that wants to be in those jobs and actors and so on. I think it's actually an intrinsic space for them, because then it's very hard to get role like in more traditional movies. But here, like there's actually a lot of opportunities for working, and I think it's actually something like great. And same for script writers, by the way. We get approached by a lot of script writers with like scripts that we review with like kind of checklist. But like, yeah, we see like a lot of excitement because there's a chance that it might get made actually. Also, the genre, is still evolving. It's still kind of narrow, but it's growing because everyone here is doing different genre as well. So yeah, I think it's interesting space to that regard as well.
So one role is really important as script supervisor, because you're shooting 10 minutes a day, and you're chopping between different locations and you're out of sequence. If you haven't got a script supervisor, you're screwed. And I wouldn't trust AI to do that yet.
And someone asked also, this is a very kind of UK specific question, I guess. Whether the likes of Pact, independent indies producer body, and Equity, the Actors Union, have kind of caught up yet with microdrama. Is there a sense where this is such a kind of a new...
We're doing a panel in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, both Matt and I have spoken to Pact already about this.
Just
so they're
tell us
very
what
much
you're going to say.
they're on the ball.
And in the US, I think the main association started to like kind of embrace it as well. So
I could tell you, but it'll cost you per sentence.
Okay, let's not do that. And then, but we're running over time, but I mean, I think if it's fad or future, if we're saying it's not a fad, which is what I'm hearing here, let's think about, if we're sitting here, what might happen, what are you, in terms of what you're doing, how you see the industry developing between sitting here today and the 5th edition of this event. So Matt, how do you see the next, is this kind of moving super fast? Will the landscape look very different in 12 months' time?
Like literally, like the amount of conversations now, you can feel it rapidly just flowing into Europe. New apps, people are talking about apps, all that stuff. But it won't just be drama, reality. There's going to be other formats and other genres in this space. You've only got to look. I look at my kids. I've got a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, 2 girls, and I watch the way they consume YouTube Shorts and the games and the types of the way that they consume content. And this is only going one way.
Victor, what's next year look like for you and the business?
Yeah, I think I see the rapid acceleration, but it will still be incremental in the way that it will happen. So like even for the genre, you still need to stay within that structure. Like there's audience expectations now built in with those apps. So you need to evolve over time, the same structure, but like add some elements, fantasy or thrillers. So I think, but these things are happening faster and faster. Like 3 months ago, there were, no big studios looking at it. Now there are investments. So all these formats are going to come to fruition, and people are going to start to understand what works, what doesn't. There'll probably be some consolidation on the app side as well, because, it's obviously, there's a lot of them. Local content too. It's very English space and Chinese, but like there's not like a French microdrama or German. So I think like this local content element will also probably start to grow. So yeah, that's predictions.
Thank you, Victor. And then Katharina, you get the last word. So this time next year, I guess your mockumentary gangster flick will be out there, and your animated
Yeah, hopefully. And, as you guys say, I think we'll see new platforms. And I think just from a content creator's perspective, we have to, writers, producers, smaller content houses have to think from the get-go. And even the big ones have to think about, we hate the word 360, but you have to think about multiple formats and multiple platforms from the start. And in terms of your script, in terms of your output, does it work on all these platforms? You have to make your strategy early, basically, because it's not like it's coming. That's already here.
And also, actually, haven't got time to get into this, but obviously this is vertical drama, but also making sure that perhaps it exists.
Yes. So everything we make now, we make sure that, when we shoot and when we think about the edits, it works vertically and it works horizontally, because one thing is the snackable format on the tube, wherever you're consuming that, but you also want to catch the evening audience. It's still a huge audience.
Brilliant. Thank you. So please join me in saying a big thank you to our great panel, Matt, Victor, Caprese.
Well, that's about it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I'll be looking back at the year in digital first and revealing the trends that we've seen in 2025, the year the content industry's centre of gravity shifted. Until then, stay safe.